What is up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Evening Alpha. I am your host, Todd Wanish, industry professional, 26-year veteran, comics, animation. Fortunately, I somehow made it. I don't know. I think just living, if you're doing comics and animation and you can just somehow do it and like not be homeless, you just somehow become a veteran after, 20 years. But anyway, welcome. What is this about? What is Evening Alpha? Well, we are a different show than other NFT alpha shows, different podcasts that are out there. What we do is we focus primarily on founder talks. We are entrepreneurs. I have a project called Adult Fantasy. And what we do is we go out and we meet other incredible owners, incredible project runners, people who are actually in the space doing stuff. And we basically have a coffee talk. It's about really getting to know each other, and for you guys have a chance to get to know the person on camera, on screen, and really get kind of a behind the scenes view of what actually goes on. Whether it's an NFT project, whether it's a startup, building a business takes a hell of a lot of work, and it's really a chance for these projects to shine and for us to really learn from each other, because the space is very new. We're all doing stuff that's cutting edge. And it's super important, right? It's super important for us to kind of learn from each other. So I am stoked for tonight, man. I have someone that I have known by reputation for a very long time, the incredible Josh Blaylock. So Josh is the founder of Comic Boxels. Comic Boxels is bridging the gap between comics and Web3 by providing comic book veterans a platform to innovate and create while connecting with our NFT community. On top of that, I've known this guy. There you go. Look at that. I've known about this guy for years. He's also the founder of Devil's Due Publishing, OG comic guy, and a world-class producer and project creator. So I'm absolutely stoked about this. What's up, man? Welcome. Oh, you got to unmute yourself.
Amateur mistake. Thanks for allowing me an excuse to get out of the senior citizens home and come talk about my long comic past. Hey, thanks for having me, man.
Yeah, dude. So tell us all about Comic Boxels, dude.
Yeah, happy to, man. So Comic Boxels is exactly what you said. It's like after spending my life in the comic book industry and then also living this other double life in crypto for the past many years. I really wanted to, start building, what is going to be the comic book bridge over here in this Web3 world. And from a place, coming up from a place as I'm an artist and a writer and a creator, and a publisher, a little all of the above. So I've got an interesting perspective that a lot of people, even in comics, don't have. And I'm working with a lot of really well-known crypto brands as well. So, I'm partnered with my tech partner Guy Veeder and a great team of other devs and on the comic book creation side and on the Web3 side, and we've which we can talk about more here. And yeah, we launched a Genesis token series of 5,000 what we call Comic Boxels, and they're a gateway into our whole slate of projects. So doing this as a less of a roadmap type thing and more of like a publishing slate. So there was, projects already lined up. There was Agnes Garboska's Digidorables, which, if you're in comics, you know who she is.
Yeah, for sure.
Super famous for doing all kinds of different cute art for every major publisher. She has her PFP series, which really made sense for like what she wanted to do with these cute little llamas called Digidorables.
Oh, nice.
And there's these are amazing. And then there's we have Hoyt Silva and Trey Walker have an RPG series, 250 unique one-of-ones that tie into a PFP series for Heroes of Shrylash. And then there's my own series, DGen After Hours, which is going to be pulling together very well-known NFT projects, that either they're in my portfolio or other, cameos to tell comic stories. And then there's New Comic Book Day, which is our most traditional thing that's going to bring in people like we have Jimmy Palmiotti and Andy Kuhn on deck. and Trailer Park Boys, because Devils Do Comics has a Trailer Park Boys license. We have that lined up. So all that. Yeah. So we're
go for it.
Oh, sorry, I stalled out there a little bit.
No, it's good. I'm curious. So, one of the things that I'm really curious about, and I've been preaching about this from day one. So, I got into NFTs early last year, and I instantly saw the potential, right? And through watching, of course, starting off as a collector. I mean, obviously, with comics and toys as a backdrop, you instantly I think recognize real is the word, like you kind of like, okay, these are collectibles. I don't totally understand it yet. I don't totally get it, but I instantly understood that it was a collectible market. And then through like Bored Ape and Pixel Vault's launch with Punks, which I know you're a part of, which I'd love to talk to you about more. Like after watching these, we were already working on our own project. There you go. Yeah. Hey man, look, let's share. Look at that. What's that?
All right. Yeah, you guys are playing there. Yeah.
Yeah, man. Come on now. Like I was gonna miss that. Give me a break. So, but working on our own project and watching others progress, I instantly recognized how important this could be to comic creators. It's no secret that I think comics are like the ultimate medium that God ever created, because it's just the most incredible. It's the most incredible. I mean, you're as limited as your imagination. Period. The amount of creativity in the worlds that you can create with a pencil, digital pencil, pen, whatever, and a piece of paper, digital paper, it's unlimited. And so the minute I jumped into NFTs, I started preaching this to other comic artists and other illustrators. And what surprised me was some of the resistance that I got. So I'm really curious from your perspective, someone who's actually succeeding in doing this. What I guess that's a double-sided question, which is like, did you have resistance to it? And then if so, like, how did you get around it? Because I've seen some crazy shit.
Yeah, so part of this just gets into my own personality too, as far as like, I'm not very good at, or naturally gifted at like convincing people, why they should do something. It's like, I instead get like, if I see the pattern so clearly, like, this is the way, this is what is going to happen, whether you want it to or not. Like, and also like, this is amazing. It's like, I'll explain to you why I feel that way, but it's like, man, it's moving so fast. I'm like, man, if you don't get it, I'm sorry. I'll talk to you in like a couple of years from now. Yeah. And because there are people like, I would just, it's much easier to go to where the excitement is and the love is, and there's already too much to keep up with there. So I went ahead and just, found the creators because I got the same thing. I got really surprised with the reaction that there was. Slowly started to realize like, oh, okay, it ties into, it's because of the whole lack of understanding of, crypto and everything else. And, lack of understanding of, there's the whole concerns about the financial element in it and all this stuff. And like, so far just to get it out of the way, like I can have a 2-hour conversation just about that and why I don't feel, I feel it's not, I don't feel like it's the same reasons to have for the environmental concern, or that people argue against it sometimes. I think that's flawed. I think the financial side, I could talk about that for hours, and it's like, usually when it gets down to the root of why someone will really have a problem with the specific things people are doing in NFTs, I'm like, well, yeah, that's bad. Don't do that. Right. Like, it's always like going and focusing on like something that, that's just a shitty thing to do that someone shouldn't do. Nothing to do with like, whether this technology is something you can utilize or not, and it can lift all boats. So anyway, I partnered with everybody because I just knew they resonated with it. I was there in Clubhouse, a year ago, like till 2:30 in the morning every night after doing all my usual stuff and running the business and everything, and being like, I gotta learn what the hell's going on. And that's how I met, Guy, who's, he was coming at it from the celebrity developer angle. And but yeah, I just, I think that we're in an interesting spot, because I started like, I'd been around in crypto before the NFT explosion, and I was already coming up with excuses to produce content or be involved with crypto just as a way to meet people.
Yeah.
Because comics has always kind of been a gateway to open the doors to like whatever topic you're interested in. You could do a comic book about that, and it'll open doors. So I did that. I mean, that's what Hollywood did with comics. And then
100%.
when I was into you know, to Bitcoin and stuff, I wrote a book about the technology back in like 2017, came out in 2018, about why this was going to be important beyond just the money.
Mm-hmm.
And from there, and in it, the vocabulary is different. I didn't quite have the vocabulary for like layer 2, DeFi,
yeah.
NFTs, but I'm talking about all that stuff in there. Yeah. So anyone that looks into me, like they'll be like, oh, this, yeah, I fully was waiting for this stuff to happen because I knew it was coming. So when it finally hit, I was just like ready to go. There's an interesting side note though, I think that we all get caught up in sometimes because we do want to see it succeed, is when it does hit the mainstream, it's going to be more, you know, it's lowest common denominator as far as the numbers start to expand. So the people that come in that really start to use it in mass for utility, they're not going to be coming in spending thousands and thousands of dollars on stuff. And right now we are in this weird period of time. The difference is though, that's where a lot of people turn their nose up at it. And, you know, I'm like, no,
it's the biggest part of the opportunity, man.
Yeah. I'm working with people who are like started working with Pixel Vault. I'm working with, now it's been finally after almost a year, but announced I'm working with Yearn Finance and Pills, a special project. I've worked with Oniforce, all these, you know, because it's like, hey, we have a unique spot here. I'm like one person that understands comics, can write stories, can understand what they're talking about, to turn it into a cohesive narrative, and can help see it all the way to like printing and shipping if they want to do physical claims. So like, I was busy with that, and it was kind of like, well, I need to be producing our own stuff though. That stuff's great. It's great to buy some NFTs, hold them. It's great to work with everyone, but I still do care about what's going to happen in like 2, 3, 4, 5 years from now. Yeah. When the masses do come in, and I don't want to have that learning curve.
That's right.
Trying to figure out how to learn how NFTs are going to make my convention business better and in 2025.
Yeah.
Like, 100%. I've already tried it, failed, had some stumbling blocks, and
that's what I say. It's like, now's the time to do it. I mean, what's the statistic? There's less than 500,000 wallets connected to OpenSea or something like that. And if you then modify your thinking to make it understood that most people have multiple wallets, you know, you're talking about a very small pool. Like I know very few people that have one wallet. It's got a lot of people have multiple wallets. So you have to use this opportunity to understand that like there's an adoption curve, and not only are we at the beginning of the adoption curve, but we're at what I call a hype cycle. And where it's literally a hype cycle. Like, I mean, you see, oh my God, this thing is hot, go get it, right? Yeah. Oh my God, goblins are the thing of the week, go get the goblins thing. Oh, there's derivatives of it. It could be the next Bored Ape. Boom, like it, and then all of a sudden it's just a ride until it's not a ride. And people don't understand. We're not at the point yet where people can understand or view long-term thinking, and I think it is not. I think people. The reason why I'm so interested to talk to you about this is because we're a little bit of the same generation, and we come from a similar background, right? And so we both rode the whole comic thing, 80s, 90s, late 90s.
It's such a fractal repetition of the 90s comic book.
It is 100%. This is the image boom, dude. It's like Image Comics, but like an entire industry of Image Comics. And that it can't last, and at least in this phase, and that's okay. But now is the time to, like you said, experiment and learn and bring people in, and kind of set up shop, because go for it.
Well, it's weird because that's where the cynicism and the the exhaustion of being like a veteran in the business, I think happens to a lot of people. Like they write it off like, because they use that as an argument against it. And I'm like, no, like the fact that it's such a repetition of that 90s boom, if you were there in it, you've been training for this your whole life. You have a leg up. You have a leg up on everybody else. And you can come in and like just kick ass. But also like the 90s boom busted, but it formed Image Comics. It changed creators' rights forever. It created, it's why we have The Walking Dead. It's why we have, why like, The Boys exists and why like, indirectly, it's why Sandman's getting made into a TV show finally and all these cool things like that. Because, and it's why we have the most diverse selection of comic books ever now. For the last few years before the pandemic turned the collecting business like into another boom, it was like there were literally articles about, does comics have too much good content? It's there are too many good like adult smartly written comics coming out, that it was cannibalizing the audiences. It was so I think in the NFT culture, I think in the mainstream, we're talking about comics here, there is a lack of acknowledgement and understanding that there's a true, genuine culture, really good, but like wonderful, thriving, creative, kind, intelligent culture within the NFT community. And then I think in the NFT community, even amongst those people I'm speaking of, I think there's a little bit of delusion that some of this is not for the money. Like, and I sort of narrow it down to like, I don't have real data or numbers, but out of 100% of everyone that make up the $17 billion plus NFT market of the last year or whatever, that's like a real number. There's like 50% of them are just buying it for the money. Don't care, literally don't care about any of it. Like they're flipping, they're buying, and that encompasses all kinds of like derivative mechanisms that would make all of these like, comic purists like probably puke. And then there's like maybe 5 or 10% that 100% don't care what happens to the market. It's 100% for the art. Mm-hmm. They're there, they don't care. They could lose everything and they don't care. Then there's this other like 40%, 45% that's like, they truly, genuinely are like, this is changing their life. They will love this forever because it changed their life. They're enjoying it. They're flying to these events cross country. They're meeting friends. They're meeting people online, and they're meeting in real life. Guess what? Just like you used to do to Comic-Con before comics were mainstream, that was where you go to meet the weirdos that know the thing you talked about. And they're gaining. If they didn't have it before, they're gaining an appreciation for art. They're even some of them are like buying physical art now because they have extra means.
Yep.
Out of them, that 40%, if the price all tanked and it all crashed, they would leave mostly because they love it, but like it's this giving them the means to do this,
right?
And it gives us the means to flip. So yeah, they are doing it financially, but it doesn't mean they don't like it. They don't really love it. So I think on the NFT side we're a little delusional. We think it's like 30% of the 40% of the people are buying, and no matter what they're hearing, like no, they'll leave. They won't want to, but they'll be like, oh shit, I gotta go work now.
Yeah, for real. And I did a lot of, for years I've been very, very lucky, and I do a lot of advising and mentoring for venture-backed startups. And a lot of the people that have been coming into crypto, even early last year especially, the thing that I've noticed is that a lot of and this is anecdotal, so this is just an opinion, but a lot of the people that have come in actually have come in from the world of finance, right? Because a lot of the people that kind of funneled in from crypto were finance people. Either they were playing the stock market, or they were day traders, they worked at Goldman Sachs or whatever. They were just bankers and people that understood finance. And then basically you have another group that comes in that understands collectibles, but they're very, very small. I would say that what I recognize in the market is this is like baby collectors for most people. I would say, and this is no scientific data to back this up at all. It's just an observation. But from my perspective, it seems like a majority of the people who have come in, they understand finance and they understand money and they understand the stock market. So they understand buying, selling, and flipping, right? That's their kind of their gateway drug into NFTs. And now they found themselves becoming collectors. And for I would guess 75% of the entire market, this is the first thing that they've collected. There's certainly people that have collected baseball cards and maybe comics, and maybe they did it a little bit in the 90s, you know, but they were never like us, like hardcore Wednesday's children. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, but they recognize it, and now they're kind of getting addicted to the collecting, because now if they're not getting that comic shop weekly hit, they're getting it like daily. That dopamine hit is like constant now.
Yeah.
And so
it's a genuine collecting bug.
Right. And so now you see the shift over from pure finance and buying, selling, and flipping to all of a sudden those people who made a lot of money and you know, all across the board, whether they made a lot, made a little, or didn't make anything, most of them are now are their mindset is switching a little bit towards that collector mindset, right? It'd be almost like if back in the day, you know, you went and you bought a comic, the first thing you did was go to the counter and they opened up a price guide and you're like, wait, this is worth money, you know, like that old school thing. And you're like, and then maybe you flipped it. I don't know. Like, oh my God, it went from $2.50 to $5. And all of a sudden you were like, oh, these things are valuable. Not only do they look cool and the art's cool and I love the story, but this actually is an asset that's something that can appreciate over time. And so I think what I see the NFT market, just the way that collecting is occurring is so, I don't want to put it down because that's not my intent, but like it's so infant like in its collectability compared to like comics and baseball cards just and all these other.
Just like when we were like, you know, if you're like 40-ish, you know, it's like when you're like 12, 13, whatever, 14, you know, like in the 90s comic boom hit, you loved comics. But you really got sucked into like, you bought every, you know, every Silver Surfer hollow foil cover, every Mark Texeira, Ghost Rider cover, every Jim Lee cover, every Rob Liefeld cover. You bought all that dumb shit.
Yeah.
And it was like, you still loved comics, or you got hooked on it that way as a kid, and you read a bunch of them. You still like, you know, you're the adult now that's like still supporting this whole industry that's like going to all these movies and buying, you know, the back issue collections and all this stuff. So like, it's like, I just think it's like people kind of get, I don't know, they get on their high horse about thinking their thing's more noble than someone else's. And I also, in you know, I do, there's this group of, you know, people weren't interested in crypto at all. Like only a tiny percentage of people were, since like 2013 when the conferences first started. Like it was there was this group of people slowly building, and it kind of, as it peaked its cycles, it sort of has an algorithm in and of itself. The whole ecosystem does. Like it's almost spooky. The money, when it's booming, attracts all these people from different areas, different walks of life, and different, like, you know, compartments of like business and art and finance and all that. Then when it all crashes, like it shakes a lot of people off because people are really still into it. Or even before it crashes, people come in, like if you are a financial, like someone who's like a leech on the financial system that just exists because of like some weird, you know, collateralized stock derivative, whatever, based in the fiat world. And like you see how crypto truly works, you're like, oh, this doesn't work for me.
Right.
This doesn't help me continue my schemes of what my whole, even if you're not intentionally doing that, you're like, this doesn't help my business that I spent all my college years studying. Right. And you leave. So like, it weeds out people, and it only leaves people left who truly want to build something new and different.
Yeah.
And then every cycle, you know, brings in all these like tech bros and finance bros, and it gets douchey for a while and it shakes them all off. And then, so all along the way, there were creators in there and artists, and they were and out of them, it shakes off all the artists who don't want to talk about money, who don't want to learn anything about tech. Like you had to have a general curiosity about a little bit of everything.
Yep.
But you kind of come in there like, yeah, okay, I'm really into this, I'm excited, but art's my thing. That's the only thing I can contribute. So like, that's why I wrote that Bitcoin comic, because I was like, I can't do anything else. And it opened up ridiculous amount of doors for me. But but I was already there before that. And So when NFTs happened, there were all these people over the years who had been they had been buying like paintings. Like my friend Josie Bellini, like Josie IO is an amazing, very, very famous crypto artist now. She was just doing physical paintings of thematic things about the financial system and crypto and stuff. And there are a lot of people doing that kind of stuff. And that's all you could do, you know. All of a sudden NFTs came and it's like, oh, now the thing that I like is the art. And now and the artists were like, the thing that I do can be the crypto. But what I think the general public didn't understand was there was a bunch of people who had been trading crypto doing very well, but who also had that genuine interest and passion in collecting and buying art and all that. But they weren't gonna sell all their crypto to go cash it out. Right. They weren't gonna dump that just to get fiat and to go buy it. And when all of a sudden there were NFTs, they're like, okay, I can use this massive amount of resources I have to start putting in here. And a lot of them, 5 years before that, 4 years before that, were not like super rich, like, you know, yacht sailors. But they have. But to explain all that, you have to get someone to even understand the concept of like, you mean someone wouldn't want to cash that out and get a bunch of dollars? Like, that's ridiculous. Like, they just so many layers to explain and get through. It's like not worth it. I'm like, look, here's the NFT people that exist now that are buying this stuff in that community. Here's the civilians that will slowly come because this is going to happen to them. And how do we just, you know, live in both worlds and make as friendly, accessible bridges back and forth as we can? And that's what Comic Boxels ecosystem really is trying to be.
All right. So I'm really curious, man. Like, I think it's such a fascinating angle to take to say that you're providing comic book veterans a way to innovate and create within the NFT / crypto space. And I'm curious, like, how you came to that, because I think it's super needed. And I mean, just so that from my own perspective, like having known a lot of these guys, like, so for those that don't know, to be a comic book veteran, I mean, you're talking 10 to 15 hour days for decades in some cases, right? To be a veteran. And a lot of these people, to be an expert at that level, you are oftentimes so specialized as to not be able to do anything else. Like, I know a lot of pencilers who don't ink and who are just now, after 15 years, 20 years, just now experimenting with Photoshop because they were just on the grind for doing pencils. That's just what they did. And maybe they were like, well, I need to capture a better page rate. So then they kind of learned the ink trade a little bit, but it's a very specialized thing. So I think it's almost, I see it as a high level service to say, hey, I understand crypto. I understand NFTs. Hey, veterans, let me give you a doorway into this. Right. And so I'm curious to like what that relationship is. Do you have to educate? Do they already kind of know? Are you handling just all of it, or do you actually educate them on the topic? Like how does that work?
No, it's everything is case by case, and I think this comes from so many years of like, I'll be on the other side of it, of outside entities, Hollywood producers and agents coming to you with the screenplay. We want to make this a comic book because it'll help you get set up here, and or like an ad agency coming to you like, hey, we got this beer company's our client, we want comics, and they tell you why they want the comic, and then I end up telling them for the next half hour, like, you don't want a comic book for that. Nobody's going to care about this.
Right.
Here's why you want it, but you actually do want a comic. You just don't understand why. And I give them like the right reasons and how they should properly use it. And then that's honestly usually like how I would really get them to like build a relationship and want to work with us. Now it's it's like comic artists coming in. If someone comes in and they just want to do an NFT, and just put their comic book up there, it's like, that's, you have to treat it like you're going to a new city, like you're going to a convention you've never gone to before. It's a new audience. They're excited about comics. They've maybe seen a couple movies. They have a appreciation for the art form.
Right. Okay.
But like, don't walk in there like you understand them. And also, this audience hasn't been trained like to do we forget how weird our customs are. That people don't just know you're supposed to walk into the convention, go look. Here's Artist Alley. Here's Publisher.
Right.
Here's it's weird. We just forget that was a learning process, or they're supposed to go to the store on Wednesdays and do this. And I just find out where they're at, kind of like what their interest is. If they're not interested, or or scared of NFTs, or don't like them, that's where I don't try to sell. I could, maybe I should, but it's like, Agnes really wanted to build. She was really interested in like the community building of like involving the community and helping shape some of the stories, and letting them have ownership of their own PFP characters and incorporate them in the stories. And like me as a writer, I can't stand the idea of bringing the community in to write my stories. But I was like, I have to come up with a way. If I want to play in the NFT world, it's not enough to just put my comics up. I want to do something else too. So it's like, well, I do know that there are fan bases for these different groups. So you've got Bored Ape Yacht Club, you've got Gutter Cat Gang, you got Oni Force, you've got Crypto Mories and Sad Girls and all these different. It's basically like you got easy access to licenses. And I've coming from G.I. Joe and Voltron and Family Guy and everything else under the sun. That's like, again, I've been trained for this. Like,
yeah, right.
And so I'm gonna do this. Actually, I haven't even shown these. I'm gonna do a little quick teaser on paper here. Some of the features for the DGen After Hours.
Oh, those look dope, dude.
Going to include that's all you get. Some of the all these different characters, but really do my write it. Like it's going to satirize and celebrate, like I say, roast and toast the whole NFT world. And so it's anybody who can read a comic book could just go through there and read that and enjoy the story and not have to know all the inside jokes. But it's hardcore, deep dive, nerdy NFT references. And then that's why we created the new comic book day, though, was for those creators who say, you know what? I'm interested. I want to try this out. I don't quite even understand what an Ethereum wallet is, but I want to learn. Mm-hmm. And I've got a body of work that you can have access to. So those we take and we're animating key certain panels from those issues, giving people a download of the issues and letting them have like mint the certain specific panels that they want, and making it like exclusive limited edition that way. And that's where you brought up collectability, and I wanted to go back to that because I thought it was really good. Like, that is one thing that I think will help a lot of comic creators who are interested in coming in here learn. Mm-hmm. Like, a lot of the stuff for just reading the comic doesn't make sense. Is about collectability. Yeah. Any NFT, I haven't seen any NFT project yet that's really using the functionality of an NFT to enhance the comic reading experience. Comics are a passive art form. There's interactive entertainment and there's passive entertainment. And comic books are passive. You're reading. Role-playing games are interactive. Video games are interactive. I don't want to interrupt and mess up the sequential art comic reading experience.
Yeah, I hear you.
Customer. It's about collectability. So just like a real comic is, you read your comic and then you decide, do you want to buy all 12 covers? Do you want to buy it and bag and board it? Do you want to CGC slab it? Do you want to do all that stuff? And it's the same thing with NFTs. And I want to make it so that you can read the comic. If you want, mint these panels, get these covers. But the better part where it does lift, the rising tide lift all boats, analogy comes into play, I think, with NFTs, mm-hmm. whether you care about that or not, is there's nothing to stop someone from insisting on rewarding you anyway, even if you weren't in it for that.
Yeah.
So if we want to say everyone that bought a comic box will get access to this comic convention, or everybody gets this free drop to something if they want, we can do that. They don't have to take us up on it. We can do that. And we've already started to do some of those things.
You see, you're bringing something up that's really interesting, especially tying it to collecting, and that's something that I think is a little bit of like magic with NFTs, and that the NFT community calls it utility. And what's so fascinating is that, and it ties it to collecting, but it also ties it to how young the market is right now in terms of their thoughts on collecting, because a lot of these people are brand new to collecting anything.
Yeah.
Like coming from comics, you go through, maybe there's a classic run, or maybe there's a first appearance, or whatever it is that makes the book special to the market or makes the book special to you, right? You can always go back into those back issues and find out what it is. You can always hunt, right? Like you're always on the hunt, right? Like I'm still on the hunt for like some classic Eric Larson Amazing Spider-Man that for whatever reason I didn't get, and I need it. So there's always the next thing that you can always purchase. And with NFTs, not only have we not hit that point yet, because I think that's several years out, right? When you're looking back and you're like, oh, that thing was super cool, and like old record, dig into record crates, right?
Yeah.
On top of that, though, the cool thing about NFTs that comics can't do, and really I don't think anything else can, at least not to my knowledge, is the idea that as a project runner, you have the ability to create utility at any point in time, now or in the future, forever. Like you can have a dead project or something that is not cool at all, and all of a sudden the style becomes hot a little bit, and that project owner attaches a utility to it that takes off, and that thing which has been dormant for 15, that NFT that hasn't done shit for 15 years, all of a sudden is the hot thing.
Yeah.
And I think you're going to see this stuff. And so like we have the benefit, both on the collector side and on the project creator entrepreneurial side, to create what we want to create. And certainly there's always a pressure with the community to get the next thing, get it hot, and what's next, let's go, but looking out there over the long term, actually thinking about it of like, okay, well, what is this going to look like looking back 10 years? How can I connect this to future things? What utility can I add to that thing that we launched last year that people aren't even thinking about? And how can we connect that to something that we're working on now? To your point, like maybe you're launching, the Digidorables, or you're launching that new comic book day project, and 2 years from now, you're like, hey, did you actually buy that issue? Because if so, we're actually tying that to a free ticket now to a convention or a signing or something.
Yeah, you're like, hey, if you ever bought Firestorm number 88,
right.
Like if everybody that owns Firestorm 88 and from 1986 or whatever,
that's right. Which would be impossible because you
don't have to wait in any line in San Diego to get an autograph. And,
right.
And like, wait, what? And it's like it's funny because people are like, at the end of the day, it just sounds like rewards points or something like that. I'm like, yeah, it is. It's the ability to like use all this stuff at a different level and to make it all interact in a level than never before. So like, if you can, it'd be, I mean, how cool. I mean, you're going to have fan groups forming DAOs that like go in and scoop up. This is like trying to use old comparisons to the kind of whatever's being invented now in the future. It'd be like if you could have a fan club now, go scoop up every random like Extreme Studios, Wildstorm Studios, and random image creator that like did one image book and left in like 1990. Like scoop up all their shit and like form a new company. And like no, and this is what people have done for ages. Someone gets money, an investor comes in, tries to buy an old property and revitalize it. But now they'll be like, no, we just formed this thing yesterday, and this fan club just bought all these things because we're going to launch this new company. By the way, we're launching a convention. We're going to buy 1,000 tickets to this convention tomorrow for all of our holders, and we're going to have a meetup. And just the velocity is so fast, and the pace and the energy around it and the excitement around it is just fun. That's what's so sad. I hate that people are missing out on all the fun potential here.
Oh, dude.
Because I've seen it happen in real life. At NFT NYC last year, the energy was just like incredible. And this year, I've heard about some of the stuff that's planned, and it's so goddamn fun And I want the comic book people to be able to,
I like we were saying, like I have been screaming since day one. I was like, this is everything we always complained about. Like every problem you possibly could have had with comics, or it's all taken care of with this. If you just open yourself up to looking at it and what the potential is, and how smart contracts work, and just a little bit, just understand what secondary sales are. Like it's all taken care of if you're willing to put in the hard work, put in the effort, actually try to put yourself out there and grow an audience and build a community for the benefit of everybody. If you're willing to actually put in the work, it solves every problem you've ever had in the space.
Well, so that's a good. I'd like to. This is me a little shilling here, but like our comic book dropped the new comic book day category. So Comic Boxels has 4 different types of tokens, and it's one for each project, but they're all Genesis Boxels. So if you hold any one Genesis Boxel, you get you're going to get perks indefinitely, and you get a discount on anything we do in our whole slate. And then you get a free mint, at least one free mint from that specific project that your box is associated with, because they're randomly divvied out. So the one that is the most centered around like existing comics and tokenizing them is, we called it New Comic Book Day. Like, right. I want, and they'll be released on Wednesdays. Like I want it to speak to the culture, and like subtly educate an NFT newbie who doesn't even know comics as that is a thing. But like, I wanted to really say like, what you have to do something that makes this fun. You have to like enhance the experience people are already having and make it better and more fun. So like you not only get to collect, like mint a certain panel in the comic besides just reading it. Also, I want to auction off the art from that comic book. I want to help the artist do the art auction, the line art from that specific issue that we're selling whenever possible. So now the release of the comic book drop for New Comic Day coincides with the art auction launching. Oh, yeah, and nice. Now, instead of like Marvel and DC sending cease and desist letters around, saying like, no, hey, will you please go dig up your line art? If it's paper, cool, scan it, whatever. Do you want to be it? Do you care? Do you feel like, oh, they have to take the paper version or else I can't do this? Or, or was it digitally drawn? Whatever, just work with them. Each one's case by case scenario, and then make that part of the marketing. So like with, we haven't really announced too much of this, but like the general idea is with, so you're getting it here for the first time, with like Jimmy Palmiotti and Andy Kuhn and Justin Gray's book coming up. One of those, we want to put the comic out and also have the art dug up, and which we've already worked on, and like auction off those pieces. And then like the like I want the artist to walk away with a boatload of cash from that, more than they would have made if they had tried to do the NFT auction on their own. Yeah. And then it becomes part of the norm. The goal is for that to become part of the norm. Yeah. With everybody. And then again, like that's their gateway just to come in and do a comic book the easy way for them, right? Then they get familiar with it, they get extra cash that they wouldn't have gotten before from NFTs. Then all of a sudden it's like, okay, tell me more about this other innovative way we could do this. Or hey, you know what, by the way, I happen to be going to these 2 conventions. Can you help me do something cool for all of our holders? And then, well, yeah, we don't have to figure it all out now. Right. So that's what I'm trying to keep in mind too, is like just get people in who are receptive, want to do stuff, because that's why it really helps to have that, like, simultaneously have that long look at like what are the next few years going to build up to that's possible. I don't have to figure it out right now, but also make sure you're doing some of the short-term stuff now that does capture that higher paying, very, very like financially beneficial NFT audience that's there now.
And I think that might be the key too, right? Like the fear and the barriers of entry that people, just in general, regardless, we're talking about comic artists and veterans and stuff, like that barrier, I think, can and will drop once word of mouth spreads from friends of theirs, especially someone like a Jimmy Palmiotti, or like once people come in and they're like, no, actually, it was a fun experience. I met a lot of cool people. There's a lot of comic fans in there, and I made more money with this NFT than like 6 months, working at one of the big two. Like all of a sudden that word of mouth spreads, and then it kind of becomes okay for in quotation marks, for other people to kind of come in and say, well, what, hook me up. What do you have Josh's email? Like, that sounds kind of cool. Like I think that can actually be the thing that brings people in, right? It's sort of like, I think it's like a floodgate. It's like, everyone's like, I don't want to be first. This is bad. I hear bad things. I read articles by people that don't like it and never have done this and don't know what MetaMask is or Gwei, but like, I hear it's bad. And then all of a sudden they get word that it's like, actually, it's not that bad. And, I think the Jose Delbo Wonder Woman thing opened up a lot of doors for people, because all of a sudden, Jose's work with the Wonder Woman pieces with the Hackatow combo, like all of a sudden they were like, he did what?
It's a great case study, man, because it opened doors, it closed doors, it showed the jealousy of a lot of people, and that's why a lot of people that have the attitude they do is they were like, Jose Delbo, like, why wasn't it Steve Ditko, or why wasn't it
right.
both? Like, why somebody, or we should pick living artists, but like, why wasn't it so and so? And it's like, because he wasn't as popular as a golden age artist in the regular comic space, and here he is making like Stan Lee money.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And it was, I think it was amazing, but like at the same time, like, then he's also a big reason why DC sent those cease and desist letters around, and which is why a lot of artists got those letters, and they're like, they don't even know what an NFT is, and they just get this letter like, don't you dare sell this.
Well, and then they Google it and they're like, oh crap. Like,
yeah. And man, I don't know. And there's something I was going to say earlier, but I forget. I think, I don't know. It's just there's a lot of really cool stuff that we could be doing, and it's the way that the MetaMask wallet and all that stuff. Obviously, that's gonna like transition into something else. It's gonna be like, you're gonna go to a con, you're gonna have the convention app. It's gonna say, by the way, here's a scavenger hunt. You go around and do stuff, and it's like, you don't even know. Like, by the way, guess what? Those were POAPs, and those were proof of attendance protocol NFTs. And it all runs on a blockchain technology, and you don't know, and you don't care, and you shouldn't have to if you don't want to.
Right.
Like, you don't have to care about TCP/IP protocol to use the internet. What I think is a little sad, and I, really empathize and really want to see my friends, not miss out on, is the like, I do think we've already moved so far in comic books evolving and the audience is changing on a digital level. Forget crypto, just before that. Like, I think it's moving too fast for the people who right now, if they did something now, could really benefit in a big way.
Yeah.
Before the floodgates open. And they're just never going to get the chance, because there are thousands and thousands of new creators coming into the scene now. Far more people read webtoon comics style than read print comics, even though print comics have never done better. They're growing like crazy. What's going to happen that makes this stuff go mainstream is when like webtoon says, hey, we're flipping on a NFT switch to, start, open up to our millions of followers, or something like that. And then, younger audiences will be using it in different ways. And then then it'll finally come around. It'll be like when someone was resistant to the internet when they were like 30, and then when they're 50, they're going to finally sell something online.
Right.
And it's,
yeah, it's like, man, this eBay thing is really cool. You're like, oh.
Yeah. And then the exactly, like, yeah. And it's, but it's going to move so fast. It's going to blow that out of the water. and like you and I'll be trying to worry about what the next like weird AR metaverse thing you're supposed to like pour your brain into is.
Right.
You know, so which is why I think I've already seen. Let's just take it out of NFTs for a minute, just comics in general. I think a really healthy attitude everyone should have is to stop worrying about what your definition of comics is and what the comic industry is, and just be like, if you're a creator, just be happy that the medium is expanding, and just as long as you're succeeding in the medium, be grateful and be happy for it, to see it expanding. And if you're in the industry, just there's so many different silos of the industry to be in. If you're in conventions, you can run anime cons, you can run traditional comic cons, you can run all these other little side cons. And if I just see people like all weird and cranky about, ridiculous arguments about manga being like 37% of the sales of the market.
Right.
Well, it's not comics. And it's like, or kids comics are like 40%, and then superheroes are 7% of the market. And it's like, man, this is incredible. Yeah. Do you guys remember what it was like in 1997? Like, this is amazing. It's the medium, and all these people transition from one genre to the other, or, they get burnt out on certain things, and it's all good for the overall medium. And there is going to be a comic book industry where, it's already happening. Like the Wednesday culture that I'm trying to like homage isn't the only thing now. Like a lot of hardcore comic readers who read hundreds of comics a year don't even know the comics shops come on Wednesdays.
That's right. Yeah. Right. That's a great point. And it actually brings up something that I think NFTs are actually kind of, I don't like, they're tapping into, and I think it's my impression is that it's tapped into by instinct. And that is like the industry, the creative IP branding industry today is not like it was when we were kind of coming up, right? Like when we were coming up, you would go into a comic shop, you would get your Jim Lee X-Men book, and you would pour over it. You'd have your McFarlane, you'd have your books, and you'd pour over it. And that was kind of your experience. And then maybe you would see an animated show, or they had like live action, the live action specials and stuff like that. But kids nowadays don't ever leave. Like you can go from the Minecraft comic to then going watch Minecraft being played on YouTube, and then they go from Minecraft being played on YouTube to playing Minecraft, and then reading up about it in some other form, and then just going through the cycle. Like kids and collectors, or people who are in the space now, can choose never to leave, right? They don't actually have to. There's not a stoppage, right? Yeah. And again, if you were into Naruto, there's 50 plus volumes. I don't even know how many, 80 volumes, because it's a weekly book, or it was and now they've got the derivative of that. And then you had the animated shows, and then you had like the Japanese have been doing this forever, and now it's kind of coming into all of our media too. And I think you're seeing this kind of pop in with NFTs now, where the instinct for project owners at the very beginning of when that day when the team has to sit down and say, okay, what the fuck is utility? And how do we apply it to,
also known as have a fucking purpose.
Right. Like, why are we here? And but it's like animated show, comic book. Like I was stunned. I was absolutely floored. Coming from comics, coming from animation, to wander into the NFT space beginning of last year, and every single NFT project had on their roadmap a comic book. Hey man, I already got some of my tea.
It speaks to how prevalent the comic book culture is. The fact that that would not have happened 20 years ago.
Never.
We gotta have a comic book. Like everyone's gotta have a comic. Also, though, it is funny because, and this has become a big part of our business, is it is because they drastically underestimate how hard it is to make a comic book.
Always. Like everybody asks me,
we can't make a cartoon, we can't make a movie. Oh, make a comic book, and it's like, oh, it's really fucking hard, guys. And so that's where we've come in a lot and said like, okay, especially, but here's where the average comic book, studio creator, whatever, comes in. and they're like, what do you mean lore? What are you talking about? Discord?
Right.
What is this? And then you got to understand the tech side of it. And it's like, I understand. If you're not genuinely interested in it, you'll be miserable.
It's super
like,
hard.
You run away.
It's a process, man. It was like when we first came out, I'm doxxed, my background is out there, like, and so everybody, I know, and then like everybody was like, well, why don't you have animation on your roadmap? And I was like, because I've been doing it for 26 years and I know exactly what it takes. Like, are we going to have it eventually? Probably, but it's going to, but I've done this for so long that there's no way in God's green earth I'm going to put it out there at this stage. It's once you, as someone who's done it so much, the work, it. So when you say, hey, we're going to launch these comics, there's no question about it. Like, you don't have to, there's no doubt that you know how to do it, or it's going to get done. Or, I mean, there's the confidence is there because you've got decades of experience launching hundreds of titles. Like you've done this. And so I think more experienced entrepreneurs who come into this space don't throw out like, oh, there's going to be the apparel line and then the movie, and then we're going to go after Netflix deals, and we're going to do the comic book, and we're going to do, and it's like the animated movie, like, it's like, oh my God, like just pick one thing.
And when you see that, that's when you see like the naivete of some of them, where you're like if I launched a campaign and we raised like $10 million in a day, and then I would put some animation stuff down there, but you know what you wouldn't see from me? Like, oh, we're going to develop this IPs with like Netflix and Hulu. And it's like, no, because if you've got experience having seen a lot of those deals,
oh man,
the dollars that you're going to get are nothing compared to the dollars that were coming in from that NFT boom. Go spend the cash and make your own animation and just put it online for free. And then later on work on like a distribution deal.
Dude, 100%. We've had, and the funny thing is similar to what we're talking about with comics. We've talked to people here on Evening Alpha. We've had people who've made movies, had the Netflix deals, and then said, fuck the Netflix, that deal sucks. I'm going to NFTs so that I don't have to do that. And so it's such an interesting, like, seeing the chessboard of like, and this also comes, like, again, this is a generalized statement and just from an anecdotal experience, but there's for so many people in the space who are launching NFT projects, it's so apparent to someone who's been building businesses and launching products for decades that they're young and or inexperienced. And I've had this backed up. I was talking to, when Coinbase was pre-launching, I was talking to Coinbase about their NFT platform. And like one of the guys I talked to, I'm not going to dox anybody, but at the time, one of the hottest NFT projects, the one that just blew out numbers, and then was like, and had one of those crazy, like, we're going to do everything. The guy from Coinbase was like, yeah, those guys are 17.
Wow.
And I was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, okay. Like, I was wondering, because I was like, there's no way that a professional or there's no one with experience would I think state that and put that out there, because then the expectation is that you can do it. You know what I mean?
And it's like the difference is there has literally never been anything like this that's ever existed that has had the money come in that has been a part of this. That has been to the level that this is. Mm-hmm. So these people could actually do it. It's the first time, we've all suffered through like Hollywood, people coming into comics, launching a company, putting out some press releases saying like, we're building a transmedia experience. Transmedia. Immediately, like they're tourists, they're going to be gone. And none of them have ever come along with like $50 million to put into like launching the thing. You're like, you could really do it. That's what's like, man, if you hear someone say that and you can tell they kind of don't know what they're doing from what they say. You're like, oh, because you could really pull this off, and it could be incredible. And a lot of them, I think, this is where I try not to be cynical about it. I think a lot of them will. They have the money to mess up and to still do it. I've tried to align myself and work with companies that I think really do like are going about it the right way and really know what they're doing and are not naive like that. Um, but yeah, uh, that's the so that's a little bit of irony. Like we're with on our end is like, man, we know how to execute all this stuff, and even when it comes to the stuff like the animation side of it, I don't know how to do it, but that's phone calls to like a handful of people that can make it all happen.
Right.
And same thing with like major motion pictures, same thing with action figures. Like we've got the network of people to like execute everything. That's why, I just want to, just keep the infrastructure there, keep building it. And I don't know. Like, I got one correction. Earlier I mentioned my shilling. I mentioned the 4 different types.
Yeah.
Of comic boxes. I forgot to mention the golden boxel, which like if you get that randomly, you get a free mint of everything.
That's everything, right? Yeah.
And, but also out of that, here's a Trilash, which will be the last one to launch in the Slate line schedule. There's a golden. There's a legendary Trilash Boxel 2, which will get you like one of the actual one-of-one drawings. But the I just like, I think that's where all these like kind of little things you and I are both noticing from having been in the industry, like that's what you see. When you see like someone who's all cranky about it or jaded about it from the normal creative geeky world, you're like, man, no, you don't understand. There's real opportunity here. Like, because if you get to know these people the right way, they're genuine. They're trying to build something cool.
Yeah.
They just need someone to explain to them, like, oh, that's not how it's done. And then you have a real opportunity to come in and help guide people. It's so.
No, I think
I really like the way that I have like. I already had the comic book company go on, was already doing different projects, and then got into crypto, and they were all separate. And then when it came to the NFTs, I was like, I'm not going to go argue with these people. You guys have built a huge community of people in the comic space, and you've organically found the people who are excited about NFTs and Web3, who are from our world. So that's super cool. We need more collaborations with groups like yourselves, because this will be, I don't know where, but that will be the types of like camaraderie that does have the first big successes that break out. Like we're going to be the ones, a couple of us team up and we'll be at a convention or something, or we'll launch a project where it's like together, it's like all that'll finally make the rest of the traditional space go, where did they come from? Like, how did they do that? Like,
I think so too. Appreciate that. Yeah, I 100% agree. Like, I think it's just once other people in the industry see that it can be done, and you don't have to sell your soul, and that it's not the devil or whatever. Like, I think people's eyes will be opened. I'm a little bit of a cynic in that I'm like, well, it's not like you have a choice anyway. Like, it's not like this stuff is gonna just stay with art and comics and creative NFTs. Like, it's going to be in ticketing and contracts and mortgages and everything. They're using NFTs now for space travel
it'll be so pervasive. It's going to be extremely mundane, completely mundane. And I guess I kind of I was like trying to get onto something about the way that like newer audiences and younger audiences read comics now and consume comics like through webtoons. They most read on their phone. That's why it's all in the scrolling format, but someone who's like 17 could have read 10 times more comics than a 17-year-old from like 1998, because they had to go buy the shit, even if they went through backer bins. But that kid could be a bigger comic reader than you ever were, and you're not even aware of it. Like I think the way that And I think this is why it's going to take longer in some cases than people think. But it's creating the true generation gap right now, which is why it's the sad part where people do get left behind. The people inventing those bridges and those like mundane connections are going to be the reason why someone who's 13 now, when they're 14 and 15, are playing a game,
Right.
and they're earning pay to earn tokens. And then there's somebody else inventing like a swapping mechanism on another wallet that gets popular, not in the way that like Uniswap is, but in a way that TikTok is, that just integrates with something. And then all of a sudden, a kid's 17, their parents can't get them to care about money or can't motivate them with an allowance because they're like, well, I can afford to order my own shit on Amazon and buying my own stuff. I'm taking Ubers. Like,
Right.
and the parents are like, how, what? And the kids, I just got my tokens, and they can swap them into whatever they want.
Yep.
And it gives them access to go to events. And they don't even ever, the current, generation is like, well, I never have cash on me. Like, that's a big deal. It's going to be like, I don't have dollars. Like, they're just
Right.
dumb to them. And I think that's where all the things they're doing will be like kind of what we're doing in a clunky way now. It'll be part of their normal life.
Yeah.
So how is a person who's like not even 50, but a person who's like 30 who decided to ignore all that and shun all of it, how are they supposed to have a clue on how to like engage with that generation? And that is, if you are hating on this stuff right now, and I've seen people who are like 27 years old doing it, 23 years old doing it.
I know.
You are consciously creating you're my dad. Who I had to
Right.
teach how to forward an email today on his phone, and he's not like it just you're who was afraid to download an app. Like, that's
100%, man. I mean, I think you're dead on. I think a couple years from now, 5, 10, I don't know, but I think the NFT is going to be like JPG. Like, no, who talks about JPEGs? Freaking nobody. It's just like, hey, can you send me that JPEG? Great, thanks. I need that. I need could you have that 300 DPI? Great. Like, you don't think about it. It's a part of life. When you're dragging something, click and save, and when you're dragging it from your browser and it saves as a JPEG, 99% of people don't even know what it stands for or what it means, but they know that it's a digital image and they have it, quote unquote. And I think I think you just summed it up, and that is the next generation will be the way we're talking about NFTs as technology and utility. They're not going to think about that at all.
And they'll never have a clue how the fuck to download a MetaMask.
No.
They're not going to waste their time on that either. Like,
they won't need to.
Yeah.
They won't need to. And all this stuff will be already there. And so they'll just start swapping and trading in their favorite apps. And all of a sudden they'll have X number of coins. And at some point when they turn 18, they'll be able to pop it into, like, I don't know, Wells Fargo, and it'll be worth something. You know what I mean?
Someone's going to force, I put this little gag in the Bitcoin comic back. It's like, someone's going to force them, they're 18. They're like, the parents like, well, you have to get a bank account. And the kid goes there, they're like, okay, fine. And they show up and they're like, okay, we'll just fill this out. And they're like, what? And you have to, and like, okay, well, give us your ID, give us all this info. And they're like, and then you cut into like the whole meme of like kids don't even want to get driver's licenses. So
right, yeah,
it's just, but I do think it is just as easy to also make fun of the people who are like, no, it's really simple. You just got to download the MetaMask wallet. Teach grandma how to do this, and it's not
32 like, steps later, profit.
Yeah. So again, that's what I try to constantly think of, and I want to take advantage of every opportunity now to meet as many interesting people and the people at the beginning of this whole movement, and to sell as much stuff as we can. For sure, no delusions there. To this early boom stage, while really having a super realistic look at how this is going to go. But I do think, it could go. There's lots of positive and negative things that can happen with it, just like anything else. But I do strongly feel like crypto and Bitcoin, even as a root thing, and NFTs, like, I think it's not a guaranteed way out of it's not the cause of a technological dystopia. It's not a guarantee of salvation, but it's the only way out of what will otherwise definitely be a technological dystopia controlled by too many centralized powers to be and everything. I think it's, but I think about how the idea of some scenario where the kids evolve using it this way, and how that's how it'll be disruptive to the financial system. That's how it's gonna. No politician's gonna be able to keep up with like trying to control anything because they're not gonna have a clue of like what's happening, and they're the people in charge now can't even like. They basically say like, how do you Google Facebook? They don't.
Right. Yeah, it's my parents that they Google Hotmail or something. They're just like trying to search for it.
But we just got to make fun shit happen. Do fun stuff. Keep rewarding people, and like an awesome community like what you all built, and just like start making people want to know like, hey, what's going on over there? Like, why is that so fun?
I had one of my first mentors said, don't join the party, be the party.
Yeah. Right.
And it's that simple. I'm going to hop into chat real quick and welcome everybody, say hello to everybody. And then if there's any questions, we'll take them. Sure. And if not, we can wrap up a little bit here. Let's see. What's up, Willie? How you doing, brother? LFG, welcome. Jordan, how you doing? Welcome.
I know her.
Jordan's awesome. Rageous, what's up, folks? What's up, Rageous? Rageous routinely blows my head off in our after party games. He's a sniper. Nice guy, what's up? Hi, everybody. Welcome, nice guy.
That's Guy. He's the tech guy, tech genius behind all of our smart contracts.
Oh, awesome! Nice to meet you, man. Welcome. Hype, what's up? How you doing? Welcome. Trey Walker, what's up? Howdy.
Here was a Trey Lash.
Awesome to have you guys tonight. We got Doge Vibes. What's up, Doge Vibes? Woo woo. Travis, what's up? Welcome. How you doing? Mastiff, welcome, man. Welcome. Another killer.
Travis is the artist on the Pills comic book with You're in Finance.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and he is also working on some other stuff, and I'm not sure if I'm allowed to talk about it or not now.
Right on. Anytime you want to drop alpha, I am here for you. Let's see. Doge Vibe says, I collected D&D stuff and board games, now living in the metaverse, and haven't bought a single physical collectible since. It's true. It gets I found that most it's harder and harder. I mean, I have been collecting the artist editions, but I feel like just my dollar amount has had to match my ETH drop.
I'm collecting more physical shit than ever before. I think because I don't collect I think it's because of publishing and having to lug so much inventory around all the time. I don't collect like anything. And NFTs have made me buy every stupid merch drop.
Yeah.
I've got so many sweatpants and hoodies and hats.
Oh yeah, dude. I know. You just have to have it all. It's so great getting caught up in this stuff again. It really does feel like I'm like 15 again. I mean,
and you're always like, well, I could buy two and I'll flip one and sell it.
That's right. You don't wear one, you're gonna keep it in mint. Come on now. Trey says I'm still deep down the toy collectible hole. Yeah, man. I had to I got down the toy collectibles. I did design work back in the day for a company called Kid Robot, and I was doing like,
oh hell yeah,
I was doing a lot of their designs, and then I spun out and created my own toys. And so like this is actually some of the remaining stuff of it. So I'm always showing these guys off. So this was like a crowdfunded designer toys that we did.
Right? Oh cool, man.
Yeah. And so yeah, like I ended up having to stop though, at least on the collecting side.
I had the vinyl toy bug back in like 07, 08.
Yeah, that's it, man.
I'll get a collection and then I purge. That's the thing is I don't hoard forever. I purge so that I can use the money to go buy all the new shit. And I would just do that in cycles.
That's good. I try to purge. This is actually just like my gems. You know what I mean? I've kind of whittled it down. I still have my long boxes over here, but like I've kind of whittled it down over time. Because I have to, like you, I got to purge, and then you can have an excuse to buy more stuff.
I think all my original vinyl purchases were funded by selling a bunch of McFarlane toys.
Yeah, right. Nice guy says Comic Boxes literally took over my office. That's good. That's what they're supposed to do. It's like a little bit of a virus. It's fine. He says when degen.
Guy's addicted to llamas.
Llamas, nice. Jordan's talking about. Josh dropping the alpha. No one had seen those covers yet. So yeah, that's nice. Those look good, man. You're always coming with it with a good artwork. So I certainly appreciate that. That stuff look great. When's that stuff coming out, or is that not
I'm literally like just kind of like obsessively going over some of like the teaser stuff. We're pretty much ready to drop these. And then there's so I'm trying to draw as much of this as I possibly can because I never draw anything.
Right. Yeah, I know. You've done writing, editing, coloring, right?
Yeah, I am. I mean, I came at it from the very beginning as an artist. It just, you know, if you're going to draw, that's what you're doing all day long. So if you're doing anything else, so I'm one of those artists that defaulted into writing by, you know, and then suddenly he's like, oh, I'm a better writer than I am an artist. And then that's, and you can still run a company and write. But yeah, no, Degen After Hours, I want it to be really me, you know, and my humor and my skit a lot. And also part of it's not completely selfless. I'm planning on setting up some live art appearances stuff in NFT NYC. And it's 100, Degen After Hours is 100% like, it's hopefully one of the smartest projects to appeal to the NFT space, but also it's just a total excuse for me to have fun.
Awesome. No, you need it, man. I mean,
like
we need more good projects out there.
Yeah.
I always mess his name up because I can never. Reg just does it to me every time.
Yeah, man. Thank you.
Yeah, love Josh Starwork and DTP. Yeah, he's hardcore nerd, man. We got some hardcore old school nerds in here. Jordan says, Alex,
gratuitous plugs of Devil's Due stuff while I'm sitting here.
Look at that, dude.
House of 1,000 Conkeys is dropping this week. If you're a Trailer Park Boys nerd.
So I was just gonna I was gonna ask about this. Like, what is your we'll say
baby?
Ooh, there you go. Oh, look at that.
In development with MGM Studios right now as a film.
Look at that, dude.
The Snake Eyes movie that was made based off of this that no one credited me for.
Really?
Oh yeah, man. This was if you've seen Snake Eyes, no one saw this book. Like that, this was a weird random. Everyone knows this for G.I. Joe and knows I read the G.I. Joe stuff. Yeah. It's a comic key.
Yeah.
So the back of this, if you've seen the Snake Eyes movie, this is the liner. The Arashikage Ninja Clan is the tie that binds Snake Eyes, Storm Shadow, Jinx, and Nunchuck, and they're the all-powerful. They're all that remains of the once powerful family and sorry. The Arashikage Ninja Clan is the tie that binds Snake Eyes, Storm Shadow, Jinx, etc., etc. They're all that remains of a once powerful family, and someone is out to steal their last object of their heritage. The jewel of the sun goddess has been guarded by the Arashikage for centuries. Now the powerful relic has been stolen, and if Snake Eyes and company don't recover it, the entire world will suffer the consequences.
Wow, dude. I don't even know. Yeah. Oh my god. Yeah.
So, and the funny thing is, though, even though this was a manga, I went out of my way to hide the magic elements of the thing until the very, very last minute of the story. So you only see for a glimpse that it actually had magical powers, but like the movie goes kind of crazy. But that's why they don't get a G.I. Joe NFT series from me.
Amen, right?
But the Trailer Park Boys, man, yeah, that's I don't know if people watch the show. The Conky character is like a super favorite of the show. So this is like our horror special.
How are you rolling these out? Are you rolling these out like monthly or all at the same time or weekly?
No, again, back to like case by case scenario. Like Trailer Park Boys really felt like this is not like a monthly kind of thing. We wanted it to appeal to the TV show fans as much as the like comic book fans. So we did 48-page one shots, and they were anthology, so we could get a variety of different styles and artists and stories. And we brought in a lot of like actual TV show comedy writers, and yeah, it was great. And we put out they were one shots. So there was Trailer Park Boys bagged in Trailer Park Boys. The first one was called Get a Fucking Comic. Second one was Trailer Park Boys Bagged and Boarded. And then now there's House of 1,000 Conkeys, which is that is the first continuous story. It's just a one-shot horror story. And then we're gonna do the next one is another anthology called In the Gutters. So
nice. Okay, awesome. Trey says I'm due for a big purge. Travis says, "Hey, I
Yeah,
drew that
Travis
too."
guy happened to draw some of that too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
actually, I'm sorry. Yeah, Travis is gonna like call me after this. Travis
This is
drew
great,
a
man.
specific cover actually.
That's fantastic.
Yeah,
That's
and
so cool.
he drew a lot of the Trailer Park Boys stuff.
I love
Now
seeing the
now he's in
physicals.
crypto. Crypto has stolen him away. And
Yeah,
he's drawing,
good.
pills.
So I love seeing the physicals too. So are you going to be promoting all the stuff at cons?
Yeah, so that's one funny, ironic thing is crypto events have taken me out of the convention cycle.
Yeah.
Well, COVID did. And
Boy.
then as we were coming back into it, it's like, well, there's like 4 NFT events to go to. They're all really like instantly turning around like real benefits. Versus the Comic Cons are more like we do have a lot of artists already still going to the Comic Cons. So with Comic Boxels though, there is a point in time where we've talked about this internally and still continuing to. At a certain point, we've got to flip the switch where we are like saying to the comic book world, like, hey, we're here. Right now, laying in the ground floor, it's been like, we're not trying to go fight that fight of all of the volatility and just a lot of hostility out there about it.
Yeah.
Wanted nothing to do with that. Wanted to like have fun and go where the party is. And there's a lot more welcome reception at NFT in the NFT world for comics.
Isn't it
I
weird?
almost
It's
exact
so
opposite.
weird.
You
It's
say
so
you're a
weird.
comic book person in the NFT world, they're like, oh my God, this is amazing. And then you go to the comic book world and say, I do NFTs. They're like, at a certain point, we've got to plant our flag and be like, okay, we've proven we've done all these things. We're here, but right now, it's little. I think if we do conventions now, it's still going as on just as the traditional comic book front. So it's Devils Do Comics, or as myself.
Well, then what's the next event you're going to do? Are you going to do NFT NYC?
Yeah. I've got some family stuff going on now. I mean, I really can't set up like Comic-Con plans for the next couple of months at least. But there's one Comic-Con I might do a quick announcement on that I might be invited to here. But other than that, NFT NYC is the next one planned, and then also obviously doing other collaborations too with like I want to be there to be a presence with like some of the other entities we're working with too. So man, there's some really cool shit I would like to be able to talk about. Oni Force is said enough, and everyone knows I work with Pixel Vault. I'm the writer of Punk's comic. I'm the writer on Meta Hero, and working on that. And there's a lot of stuff at the Gary V VCon that was announced at Pixel Vault. So there's some cool stuff I'm not allowed to talk about. Then there's Pills has finally been leaked, and then Oni Force has talked about us working together a lot, but there's not a lot of details out there yet about stuff. So it's like I can't drop anything.
No, it's good.
And some of it too, I gotta wait till certain things are like really extra signed off on. So
it's just awesome, man. It's like a new golden age. It really is.
What
awesome.
I want to do is I want to just kind of at some point, Comic Boxels is our anchor, and then we set up sort of like in the comic book realm, Comic Boxels is our anchor, and we can introduce people to all the NFT stuff. And in the NFT world, those other well-known projects are our anchor. And DGen After Hours is another one of our anchors to the community as a Comic Boxels project, but it's things they're more familiar with. And then we introduce them to the rest of the world. But we need people to go mint some shit. So we're still minting. And we're not like a project that like has to mint out day one that, it's like we're here, we're doing this stuff, we have the slate, we're delivering, and we're trying to over incentivize everybody on everything. So I think, man, this is like one of the best communities to talk to about it. So
I think so too. Yeah. I mean, that's awesome. Kurt says misplaced miniseries. LOL.
Oh my God. Wow. You are an OG. Holy shit. Wow. That's going. That book is so old that the fashion that the characters were drawn in went out of style and has now come back into style. You know
now
what?
he's
This is the most depressing news ever. I don't own enough of Misplaced right now to want to do anything with it because I did a deal with somebody I don't want to work with.
Oh man.
Palmiotti is I can say because we have announced them on our site. So that is part of the new Comic Book Day lineup. So the next up is Legion After Hours. Then after that's New Comic Book Day, and then after that's Heroes of Trilash. So and the devs right now are wrapping up like the whole like minting feature on the comic drops and how it's going to work. No one's ever done it quite like this, so I'm excited for us to finally be able to reveal it soon. And we're I guess a little bit of alpha I can talk about is like we're about to drastically improve our display sort of gallery function if you're one of our holders on our site, which will then play into some of the comic book minting. So
awesome. Doge says, great show. Thanks, guys. Hey, Bad Kitty, how are you? Really great show. He says, I love it. And then Travis says, I have the DDP mixtape that features Misplaced. I remember that. That's like a.
I've got like a 10-foot banner around here somewhere that Randy Green drew of one of the characters.
It's old school, man. Old school. Well, awesome, dude. This is fantastic. And yeah, we'll talk to Josh. I'll talk to Josh later about trying to get Jimmy on here for sure. But,
I can't wait for us to finally be dropping this because I want to get Jimmy on every single.
Yeah, man. We got to break him in. Like
Andy Kuhn is hilarious too, and he doesn't do a lot of press. I want to get him on for some.
We gotta break these guys in. They deserve it. You know what I mean? Like they really do. These guys have put their time in, their energy in. They have great reputations, and I think they deserve to expand their audience to people who would really appreciate them. I think.
Yeah, and like I love it too because those guys have been around a little bit longer than I, and they're really curious and they're like they want to keep doing this stuff. And then you run into someone who's like 25 and they're like, nah.
Yeah, right. Yeah, we'll see it. We'll see about Amanda Connor too. We'll get everybody in. We'll get everybody. Well, so Josh, man, thank you so much, dude. Comicboxels.com, right? That's comic box, like Comic Boxels.
It's like a play on voxel, VOBOEX. Yeah.
And you've got a there you go, perfect. Screenshot that. And then you've got the mints going on now, right?
Yeah, no, the mints are live. You can also mint Digidorbles. If you mint a Comic Boxel Genesis token and you have a 1 in 6 chance of getting a Digidorable mint token, then you'll get free Digidorable mints on top of that. And then if you but no matter what, if you hold a Genesis token, you get a 0.01 ETH discount on whatever you mint. Also, our Discord channel, Agnes Skarboska is on there constantly doing stuff with the digital characters. She's also doing special things for her holders with access on there. Hoyt, and check out Heroes of Trilash. If you go to the Comic Boxels Twitter account, you'll see all this stuff as well. Hoyt is drawing. It's a PFP series that's going to be like, these dungeon minions that play into this fantasy RPG, but it's like fantasy with a take of like modern, like high fashion, cool. like hype beast fashion.
Oh, nice.
And the legendary heroes that are like the main heroes in the whole thing that you can buy into are one of 250 one-of-ones. So if you get a Comic Boxel Genesis token, you happen to get a legendary token, that means you're going to get one of those one-of-ones for free. Mm-hmm. We don't know what we're going to price the one-of-ones yet, but those are going to go right away because there's only going to be 250 of them. And then Hoyt, though, is drawing them all on Discord like almost every night. He's on there creating one of the characters so you can like watch the whole thing being built before they're finally all launched.
I've seen his artwork. It's freaking fantastic. It's really good. It's really good stuff.
And it's like, I don't know, it'll be like, a cleric, like assassin who happens to have like, you know, a Versace fanny pack and like, and like, you know, some awesome sneakers, but like just looks badass. Like it's just really interesting takes on, you know, how to spin all that together. So I mean, what if you're from the NFT world, like you know how everyone loves that shit, like how perfect is it for that whole world? But it's genuinely super, you know, super RPG geeky. The like Hoyt and Trey have the whole game mechanics all worked out. They're doing like test play like on Discord. They're on there like engaging their community like every night. So whereas my stuff is more like, hey, come and visit every now and then. I'll do some live streams every now and then and like read my stuff and enjoy it.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna roast and toast the NFT world. And then stick around for all the fun stuff when the regular OG comic creators start coming in and dropping their stuff.
Yeah, awesome. Kirkinal Reg says, I'm getting the gold voxel right now.
Yeah.
There you go, man.
Keep some of that stuff up. Yeah, for
awesome, man. Way to support. I can't wait. This stuff is fantastic. Nice guy says 2 llamas for a Genesis token plus 0.01 ETH. Discount on every project. Yeah, absolutely.
We really want to reward, like, we're only guaranteeing people discounts on like the current slate, but like we're really you know, we're really like, I mean, like the intention is to do all kinds of stuff in perpetuity. We've already given away some convention passes for holders, and like we're seeing who we can partner with. Again, we're facing a lot of the challenges though. Like we have to still find the people who are friendly to the NFTs.
It's crazy.
But like I just see the potential of like Fan Expo has like 15, 16 conventions. You know, Reed Pop has what, 30, 40 conventions.
Yeah.
There's opportunities there. And if they don't want to work with us, we can just buy tickets, you know,
it's just a numbers game too, right? I mean, you just, as long as you're willing to take the fire and just, you know, and just like have people like piss on you for a little bit, you're going to find people who are super open to it.
With some of the perks, you just be careful. Like I got to make sure like we don't invest in giving away tickets to Des Moines, Iowa, and then people from Singapore snatch them all up or something before they realize what they're doing.
J-Raw, what's up, man? Hey, y'all. What's up, Uncle Todd? What's up going on, Josh? What's up, J-Raw? Good to see you, as always. Hope your MMA matches went well. I'm sure you went to one tonight. What's up, Alex? Thanks, Craig. Thanks. And nice guy says, don't forget discount con sketches.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Thanks, guy. Yeah, like Agnes has given away like all the convention appearances she's doing. If you show up and you're like a llama holder for Digitorables, like you get discounts on the con sketches.
Yeah, that's really cool. I love it. I really do love how you guys are. You're really bridging the gap between like kind of the old, I don't want to say old days or old world of comics, but kind of like the established comic world and kind of bridging that in to kind of the new generation.
They're because they're so goddamn closely aligned. Like there's the old culture that existed of the comic world, like in the NFT world, they're so similar. And it's funny because like that's what was everything that was lost because of the digitization of everything.
Yeah.
Is replaced ironically with this digital medium. Like the reason why, you know, like conventions morphed, the people that have been around longer that have any like complaints about conventions, why is it? It's because of cosplayers. It's because of like, you know, all the casual fans that just watch the movies and don't read the comics. And it's like, well, yeah, before them, if it was 100,000 person con, it was like 10,000 people here. And that's right. They were all buying art and they all read, you know, it's a bigger audience. They treat it, and culturally they came up more like, it's like going to a music festival. You go to like, you know, Lollapalooza, you don't necessarily go to the record store and dig through every crate and buy everything. You're just there to have a beer and have a good time. So and you no longer needed to go to a convention or a comic book shop to have that community and camaraderie.
Right.
It was not necessary anymore.
Right.
So with NFTs, the real life events are where you can finally meet up with all the people that you've been talking to and stuff. So it's it's fun, and it's so many similarities, and I want everyone to have fun. But maybe the two worlds will never meet. I'm used to bouncing between different.
I think they're going to
subcultures
collide. I think
and
they're just going to start. It's going to be like a nice spread. It's just going to completely gel. It's just going to take a minute. It's just going to take some time, But dude, thank you so much for your time. I thoroughly enjoyed this. And everybody out there, again, comicboxels.com with a B. Go check it out. Go support. Josh is legit. He's been around for everywhere. Yeah. He's been around for a long time. The dude knows how to deliver everything he says he's doing. And so we got to support. My position. We got to support projects out there from real people, from real entrepreneurs, people who have built businesses, and people who are dedicated to it. And Josh is absolutely straight up on that. So everybody, thank you guys again. Everybody in chat, usually we hop over. Tonight's no different. We hop over to Discord. We have an after party. Again, I usually get my head blown off pretty quick by a bunch of snipers, but that's okay. It's fine. I will eventually get better at it, or I will continue to perish. That's okay.
Thank you very much, man. You guys, this community is dope, and thank you for having us.
Absolutely. Just hang out for 1 second. Everybody else, we'll see you later. We'll see you next time on Evening Alpha. Hop over to the Discord. Thank you guys again. I really appreciate it. Comicboxels.com. All right, guys.